What is up, B fam? We are back. We are back. It has been like 2 long years since we recorded an episode. It was 2 summers ago that I recorded that last episode, and we have just had a crazy season of life, changes happening. They happened pretty rapidly the January before, and we tried to carry it all the way through that spring, and it was too much, and something had to go, and it couldn't be our marriage. And it couldn't be our finances. And it couldn't be our relationship with our children. It couldn't be our jobs. So it had to be those things that were taking that extra time. But we knew in our hearts that it would not be forever. We knew that we would be coming back because this is just something that God has placed on us. It is a desire in our hearts to be able to speak into the lives of and encourage and lift up other blended families. And through the last couple of years, we have seen the need increase, unfortunately. It breaks my heart every time that I hear somebody else that I know and love that their marriage has come to an end and they are past the point of being able to reconcile and they are going through with the divorce and all that comes after that. Regardless if you are divorcing when your kids are still young or if you are divorcing when you have grown kids, the different types, there's different types of struggles that come along with both of those. But our goal is to help you navigate through that and enjoy it. It does not mean that it's not going to be hard, but to help navigate through those different seasons. And it's no different for us. Over the last couple of years, even though we are fixing to be celebrating our 18th year anniversary being married, this stuff still happens. We have strengthened our relationships over the last 5 years that we have been pouring into blended families, and yet stuff still happens. Situations still come in. Division still comes in the middle of it, trying to maneuver what relationships look like in different seasons. And that has been one of the hardest things when I come on here and I want to tell you how to enjoy it. And I am still personally struggling through what it looks like to enjoy it. And so that's really what today's topic is going to be about is during this last couple of years changes, our house has become a revolving door. We had come to this place of empty nester because we had moved out. Our last child, my stepdaughter, Riley, was living with us and she had moved in with us when she moved back from Alabama after going off and doing a fun little sister adventure. And she was going to move back in for 6 months and it turned into a couple of years. Her sister from her mom's side of the family even came and lived with us for a little bit. And then it came time at the end of that summer that she was going to start looking for her own place. And I was not super thrilled about it because even though it was what needed to happen, it stirred up a lot of different emotions and I wasn't ready for it. And she was in a new relationship. And I'm gonna go deeper into that in another episode. I may even have her on for that. But I did not handle that situation very well. And I would say probably on her part too. She didn't handle it very well. And all the old emotions and feelings and rejection that I had experienced from raising her in our blended family began to what I thought had healed. It actually began to bubble to the surface and it caused a lot of issues in our relationship. It pretty much strained our relationship for probably like a year and a half, I should say. We're just now getting back into like a normalcy, what feels good and comfortable, I think, for both of us and the fun, um, just playfulness that our relationship typically has. A lot of you guys saw that video that she had recorded a song. She wrote a song for me a couple years ago, and we recently shared a video of that on our social media, and people were just in love with it because they could relate so much. So I just want to give you some hope and encouragement in that. If you're not there yet, it is possible, but just because you get there doesn't mean it's foolproof either. But again, that's not what I want to share in this episode because I think that one we could go into a lot of depth there and it could be at a whole episode in itself. But in that process of her moving out, we became empty nesters for about 3 months, maybe. And then we got a phone call, and there was a time in my son and my daughter-in-law and the grandbaby's life that they just really needed a do-over, a start. You know how the economy is and how hard it is starting out as a young adult. And even when you have two working adults in the house, it is hard to make ends meet. And we totally get that because Randall and I have been in that situation a lot. So we invite come move back in with us, start fresh, and that way they could launch out and have a little bit of like savings and everything under their belt instead of feeling like they were always behind. So that took place the previous year. They moved out last summer. So it's been a whole year that they've been moved out now. Then we were empty nesters from about June all the way to October when my youngest daughter had her first child. They were living with his parents, and she called all the hormones, all the stuff that goes on with being a new mom, especially being in a new mom in your mother-in-law's house. It's just different. Y'all know, I don't, it's nothing bad to say against anybody else. It's just this is the law. This is the nature, right, of how God has created us. And so we invited her to come back to our house. My idea was for the weekend to kind of just spend some time. The baby was like 5 days old at this point. I was really sad that I wasn't going to be able to see this grandbaby as much as I was able to spend time with my first granddaughter. And so I saw this like, okay, come for the weekend and we can just kind of love on the baby and love on you, help you out, and all that kind of stuff, which that ended up turning into her and her significant other and the grandbaby moving in with us for 6 months, which was not part of our vision of where Randall and I thought this next season was going. But we also wanted to do the same thing for them that we did for my son and daughter-in-law and the other grandbaby, which was to give them a platform so that they could store up money and be able to go out into the world with a fresh start and be able to not feel like they're always depending on other people. In that process, though, we did a lot of things wrong and we did some things right. It's definitely a season that I am so grateful for because, for one, the time that I got to spend with my kids and with my grandbabies in that close of a setting doesn't compare to the kind of relationship that you have when they live off on their own. And then two, it brought out a lot in me that needed to be dealt with and healed. And so during that time period, I started going back actually all through that from the time my stepdaughter moved out. And then through this whole process, I went back into therapy just so that I could work through some stuff. So now I'm going to share with you 7 different tips. I don't know if you want to call them tips, suggestions. These are things that we pretty much had to figure out or maneuver or did wrong. And I'm saying, hey, maybe do it a little bit different. Or as we maneuvered through this, that we figured out in the process. And so I just want to share those with you today because I know there is a lot of you guys that are parenting adult kids. And I say parenting adult kids. We are not parenting adult kids. I have to correct myself on that all the time. We are parents of adult kids because our job has come to an end, even though some of us, I'm pointing at myself here, have a hard time letting go with that. So here we go. Drum roll. I don't know if I can drum roll without like shaking all of the cameras. Number one, how to enjoy your blended family when you have adult kids and your house is a revolving door. All right. Number one, I know this is going to be a hard one for some of you. And there's a lot of things. I'm fixing to go over the list of things are the things that you could complain about all day long or that could be frustrating to you. But at the end of the day, there is beautiful opportunity in this season where they're living with you. And if you do not choose to focus on the good parts of it, if you do not choose to soak it all up, I am telling you, when they leave, you're going to regret it. And just the natural order is for you not to have your grandbabies in your house during specific holidays or on a regular basis. And there are things about this season that are just going to fill your heart beyond measure. I can tell you during this season, my granddaughter was learning to talk. And that's when I first got my grandma name, which it was supposed to be Grammy, but now it's Graham because she refused to say my name for the longest time. She just could not say Grammy. And then when she learned Graham, she said it all the time. And in the morning, because I wake up way earlier than the rest of the house, and when I was in my room working and I would hear her coming down the stairs with her mom saying, Graham, Graham. And it was just the sweetest thing ever. And then if she got down the stairs and she figured out I was in my room, she would come running down the hallway and she would bust open the door and come in there to say good morning, give me hugs and all that kind of stuff. Being able to sit and cuddle, being able to wake up and do Easter and Christmas with my and then so that was with my first grandbaby, and then with grandbaby number two, a little boy, he's a little boy, and we call him baby J. Getting to watch my daughter, why is this making me emotional? I was trying to think of the right word to use for this, but to embrace motherhood and do it so wholeheartedly, so naturally, which she always like loved to play baby dolls and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, she has such a compassionate heart. And to watch her do all of those things and to be able to witness it. And then there was a moment where she had asked me, she's like, Mom, what did you do with us during this stage? Like, because she wanted to like just soak it all up, but also like make sure she was doing things like developmentally appropriate and all of that, like not just like sitting around all day long, right? And I said to her, I was like, Riley, I did not have the privilege of staying home with my babies, with you guys. I didn't get to stay home with y'all. I was working two jobs. I was going to school. Somebody else raised y'all. And she was like, Mom, that just breaks my heart. And I was like, I know. I was like, so for one, like you should feel super blessed that you're able to do this because her significant other was out there working and being able to provide for them. And plus, obviously, they're living with us. So we're providing for them as well and put money back so that she's able to stay home with her child. So, along with her getting to do that, I got to do that too because I work from home. And I got to watch a lot of the milestones that, you know, babies change so rapidly. And I got to see those little changes throughout the day. That was such a gift. Those are two of the things that like I cherish so much when it comes to this season of having the kids at the house with me. Plus, we're also getting to model to our children what marriage looks like in real time, right? Like what housekeeping looks like in real time, what balancing all the things together look like in real time. And so there were a lot of good things. I wanted to start out with that. I thought about ending with that, but I don't want it to be an afterthought. I want it to be your number one focus is enjoy it. Because if you do these other things right that I'm going to say next, it's not going to be forever. So enjoy it while it happens so that hopefully, too, this will be the last time and they launch off on their own. I know for me, I had to move back with my grandma like six different times before it finally stuck. And Randall and I got married and I never moved back in again, but it happens. So, how can you make the best of it? Number two, and this one I had to learn the hard way. We had to learn the hard way. And this was the main thing my therapist suggested to us when we were going into this the second go around with my youngest, and that is have a plan. We did not make a plan either of these times. And when we finally did, after life just started lifing and frustration started to take place on both ends, and we were all getting tired of being in the same household, then we started to talk about like some sort of like, okay, we need a shorter plan. With my daughter and son in law, they had thrown out 6 months and we just went with it. But in reality, 3 months, according to my therapist, 3 months is plenty amount of time. Bust your butt, put back some money, pay off anything that you need to pay off while you're not paying for rent and groceries and all the stuff, and set yourself up so that you can go out there and put a down payment on something. 3 months, 4 months max. Have a plan. Have a date that they are shooting for. Do not just let them move in and not have any kind of idea of where there's an end in sight. And that is for everyone involved. That is for them. And I know, like, my kids did not want to live with me. Okay, I know that. They did not. They know me. Like, they did not want me in their everyday life. And we did not like our house not being like just our ability to do whatever we wanted in our house every single day. Like, I love my kids, they love me, but it wasn't ideal. Okay. It was not ideal. It was not the plan. So have a plan, some sort of exit strategy with a date. Then number three, discuss the expectations. This is going to help eliminate, I would say, probably half the problems, because you're going to come up with expectations, but people are probably not going to be able to meet your expectations. There's going to be times, like, even if everybody is on board and agrees with what you say, they're probably still not going to follow through with everything. But if you never discuss what those expectations are, then they're probably going to meet those expectations 0% of the time. I mean, unless you have some kids that y'all's mindset and everything is just the exact same and they just do these things naturally. But typically, from what we've saw and what we have heard, when kids come and move back home, the expectations of what the parents think this is going to look like and what the children think this should look like are not the same. And so you need to discuss, what is that going to look like? Are you going to have them pay some sort of rent? I'm just passing on free therapy here. My counselor suggested that they pay something. They should be paying you. We did not do this. Randall was completely against it. And as the man of the house, I followed his lead in that. And I understand where he was coming from, and I understand where she was coming from. And if it was up to me, I probably would have charged them at least something and maybe put that money back, which is something that my counselor had also said was like, even if you just keep that in some sort of savings, don't tell them that, but keep it in a savings. And so maybe they're paying you 500 a month. Maybe they're paying, find a number that's reasonable, right? But it's going to get them in the habit of having to take that money out of their paycheck, because they're going to be doing that when they move off on their own anyways. So it's going to get them in the habit of living off of what's left over from their paycheck. So putting a number on that, and even if you put it away in savings, and then at the end of it, you give that to them and you bless them with it so that they have even more to put on whatever their next steps is. Do that. Ideally, that's what I would have chose. But I understand where Randall was coming from too, because we never discussed them paying up front. He didn't want to add that in later. Something that we had to talk about, which was a really big deal for us, was the air conditioning, because we do not want to pay an extremely high air conditioning bill. So there was set points and lowering the air at certain points, and like what it doesn't go under and when you need to raise it up and all of that. That was a big conversation in our house, regardless of which child was living it with us at which point in their life. Our upstairs does get hotter, and so they often would not honor that. But since then, I have also slept upstairs with the grandbaby, and it does get hot up there. And I think a happy medium would have been there for them to offer to pay for that, for any of the difference. But anything that was causing, anytime money is related in things, it stirs up some emotions. So it was one of those things that I would harp on verbally, but then I would just have to let go. Another expectation that we really had to like get out there was what it looked like for cleaning up after yourself, trash day, not taking food. Like for us, it's upstairs where the bedrooms were, not taking food upstairs, washing your own dishes. Something that Randall didn't want and that I actually was okay with was he didn't want our house turning into like a daycare, which I'm part of the problem there because I run an early childhood business. And so when the babies are here, I would turn everything into like a little playland. And he just wanted to be able to have his little sanctuary where everything wasn't like baby toys everywhere. And I get that as well. So we tried to get in that habit of like we would pull stuff out during the day, but we would clean it back up before he came home, and getting into the routine of doing that. Laundry day, our laundry system was a huge battle in our house. I say battle, like it was one of the major things that we would get frustrated with, and they would get frustrated with, honestly, because our washer and dryer could not handle the amount of clothes that they would put in there, and our washer ended up getting off balance, and then everything would remain soaked and wet. It was a whole thing, that details you don't really care about, but how crazy those type of details can cause so much other static in other areas. And so that, like, we had to have, this is our laundry day. If you're going to do laundry, we need to see you see it to completion, right? Which I think that's a normal issue that a lot of people have in regular, not even blended families, just having their kids put their laundry in and seeing their laundry to completion. So that was another big thing. So those little things that make up your day to day life. Who's going to cook dinner? Who's going to wash dishes? Scrubbing the toilet. Like these are the things that make up running a household. Who's going to do those things, and divide them up and then try to stick with that as best as possible. Again, just because you have an expectation doesn't mean that everybody's going to meet your expectation. And that's where number 4 comes in. Number 4 is have the hard conversations. Because if you have these expectations and people in your household are not meeting those expectations, and you just start holding it all in, you're going to explode, or you're going to have resentment. You're going to become bitter. And that is not a place that you want to get in your relationships. And I will say, there is always beauty on the other side. There is always healing on the other side of having good, hard conversations. There's a healthy way to do it, and there's unhealthy ways to do it. But if you do it right and you come at it with this approach of, hey, this is what, hey, this happened. This is what I'm thinking. This is what's going through my mind. This is how I'm feeling right now. Can we talk about this? And begin to hear each other out, explain your different perspectives, and God begins to soften each other so that you begin to see things from their perspective. And maybe some things were a complete misunderstanding, but had you not had the hard conversation, you would not have known what was taking place in their minds, in their heart, behind closed doors, right? Because you have to remember too, your kids are maneuvering a new relationship, new parenthood, young adult life, the pressures of the world, remembering all of that when it comes to being in your early 20s and how much stuff is going on, right? Just even the maturing, your frontal lobe is fully developing by age. I think they say 26 now. They used to say 25, but I believe I heard something about 26. All of that is still taking place in their minds while adding in all of these external forces. Then, not to mention, what's happening around our world right now and the economy and just feeling defeated. And then for our the girls in our lives that have had babies and their bodies and the hormones and all of that that's coming along with it, there is so much going on beyond your thermostat, beyond washing your clothes, right? There's a lot happening that we don't even realize. And some of it is for good, right? We don't want them to bring every single relationship issue or whatever to us because they have to maneuver those things inside their relationship as well. So that's going to bring me to number five. Number five is date nights. This is going to be very, very important on both sides. But I'm going to talk first is you and your spouse need to make sure during this time that you have your adult children, even if you have young children, but right now we're talking about adult children. If you have them living in your house again and you have grandbabies in your house again, you need to make sure that the two of you are spending quality time together, set apart from the family. And I'm not saying just going and closing yourself up in the room. Like, yes, do that sometimes as well. But because your house is what is, I'm going to, don't take this wrong, but is the chaos or the war zone, the unsafe area right now, just depending on where y'all are at in this season of it. So go escape for quite a while during this time period. Randall and I were going and doing Monday night date nights, and we were just going out to the beach and we were just sitting there and we were talking and just taking in the waves and the silence and getting out some. Try to not have the whole entire time venting about all the different stuff that you're frustrated with the kids, but use this time to connect with each other. You need to have a date night on the calendar, prioritizing it. Figure out how you can make it in your regular schedule. We also did have to be like, okay, like at 8 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock, whatever that time frame, depending on the different time of year, we're going to go into the room and we're going to have our own time in there. And our children and our kids were doing the same thing, right? Like they're wanting to go upstairs and go be in the room and be a family unit for themselves because, again, they're going through the same stuff we're going through. It's just our house. And I would also suggest that if this is couples that are moving in with you, your child and their significant other, that take some time right now to watch the grandbaby and encourage them to go have their own date night, to go spend time together and begin to strengthen that relationship because this is a beautiful time when you already are a built-in babysitter, nanny, caregiver, whatever for your grandbaby. So allow them to go spend that time together and really strengthen what they are building right now. You want their relationship to be strong and healthy for your grandbaby, for your child, for their significant other. You want this relationship to work. For one, because you want this to be the last time they're living with you, right? But even beyond that, the real reason, you don't want them to end up in divorce. You don't want them to experience what you had to experience. You want this to be a relationship for their benefit, for their children's benefit. You want to break the cycle. And that's going to happen by them having a strong, healthy relationship. And they're going to have a strong, healthy relationship by spending quality time together. We know that. So encourage those date nights. And when you can, watch the babies so that they can go out there and spend some time together. So that was number five. Number six, you need to get into counseling. You need somebody else that you can bounce ideas off, you can vent to, because sometimes you're going to be frustrated with your spouse during this process because again, we're blended families. And in blended families, we can become very defensive over our own children. And your significant other can get frustrated with things that even when you're frustrated with it, you jump in to defend simply because they're your child. Even though you may have just been complaining about that same thing, we still have that territorial type thing when it comes to our children. And we do not want this allowing your children to move into your house temporarily to destroy your marriage. We do not. That is the last thing. If that is taking place, then they need to go. Your marriage is more important than helping them out right now. That's a harsh reality, but the thing is at the end of the day, they are going to move on eventually and you're still going to be married. Hopefully. The goal is for you still to be married. This person is your forever person. This is the person that you're going to grow old with. You need to prioritize that relationship over all of the other things. And that one was a hard one for me. When my kids are out of sight, out of mind, I can focus on my marriage a lot easier. When they're in the household, I become a mom that wants to pour into those relationships and all the things that we do. And so this is something I have to work really hard at. And sometimes as a mom, I do not know those boundaries when it comes to my children, even when they are grown. And I need a professional to tell me, Scarlett, that's wrong. You need her to tell you you're wrong in this situation. You handled that wrong. A situation where it was very beneficial for me to have her to talk to. But one of the things that I was starting to become upset with was the kids saying certain things about me in front of me about not being able to trust me or not wanting to hear my opinion on certain things. One of the things that I found myself doing during this time period was if this kid was upsetting me, then I would go and I would vent to this kid. And if this kid was upsetting me, I would go and vent to this kid. And if we were together, then we would vent about this. And that is not healthy. And that is one thing that I knew when I was doing it that I didn't want to, but it just would happen over and over again. And my therapist just straight up, she's like, stop it. You're the one in control of that. What you're doing is wrong. You need to quit. Sometimes we can justify the things that we are doing because in the moment it feels good to release. It feels good to have somebody agree with you, but it's not healthy and it's causing more problems in your blended family. So that is one thing I needed her to say to me and that I have had to work on so that I am not causing division in our family, but I am helping bring people together. So if you're doing that, stop it. I'm just going to tell you right now. But having a therapist, having somebody else, an outside party that you can vent those things to do, she can help you brainstorm some ideas, come up with better solutions, and move forward in that. That is a good thing. And if those situations that are taking place are stirring up different types of negative emotions for you, your therapist can help you navigate what is the root of those, what is causing those emotions for you so that you can begin to heal in those areas. And that is one of the strong benefits of going to counseling is everything that is triggering you is an unhealed area in your life right now, and your therapist can help you get to the root of it and then move past it. And what you're going to see is when you begin to heal in those areas, you do not get frustrated near as often. So therapy all around, even if you're like, I can't afford it, figure out a way to afford it. You spend your money on a lot of different things. To me, it's an excuse. We are very tight in our budget and we have found a way that we can afford it. I also started using this app. It's called like Duomo, I think it's something Duomo. And it was an ad that kept coming up on Facebook. And so I finally clicked on it about like seeing what your Bible, women of the Bible character and how you parent. Like their ads are kind of interesting because I think they're a little bit, I don't know if I can say AI on here. They're kind of cheesy, but they hit your heartstrings on motherhood. And so it reeled me in and I did it, but I've been using it for 2 months now. It cost $40 for the app, but it's been helping me work through a lot of things as well when I'm not in current, like, because currently I have not been going to counseling because I have worked through a lot of this stuff and we are empty nesters again. And so I've done the homework and I'm in a better place. But there are some things deep down that I've been working with, me and God, using this app, and it has been a blessing. So that might be something. It is $40 a month. You get a free trial, I think, for like 7 days or 14 days or something like that. And I just really enjoyed it. So that helped. $40 a month is a lot cheaper than paying $25 a session if you're going multiple times a month. It does start to add up. So doing what you got to do to cut out what you got to cut out in order to make that happen, because I'm telling you, it will save relationships. And number seven on how to enjoy your blended family when you have your adult kids living with you, and that is, you have got to let go. You are not in the parenting stage anymore where they need you to control their actions, their moves, their future, everything, their relationships, their finances. They do not need you to do that anymore. Yes, they are living under your roof, but if you have done your job right, they need to take ownership over these areas. And even this was one of the hardest things for me. And this is even when they weren't living with me. And some, because like I might have had this kid living with me, but I was still doing a lot of things for my other kids. And through all of this process, I'm building a business, and my time was being stretched all over the place. And my counselor had to say, like, you need to let your children do things for themselves that they are capable of doing for themselves. You are taking on their responsibilities. And as long as you are taking on their responsibilities, they will not take on their responsibilities. Why would they? And I was doing it out of the kindness of my heart. I was doing it because I felt bad. I was doing it because I don't want anyone to suffer, right? Because why should the whole family suffer if one person is making some choices that's causing the others not to be able to have or do the things that they want to do? And so I was stretching myself thin doing those things. But when I'm doing that, I am taking the power from my child to be able to grow and mature in these areas. I am hurting them by helping them do things that they are capable of doing for themselves. And this was a very hard, harsh reality for me to swallow. That's why I wanted to end with this one today, because this one is, you're going to have to sit in this one for a little bit. This one is going to take some practice. This one is going to break your heart. Because if you put a timeline on how long they're going to live with you, and they are not financially ready, and you are fearful that they're going to go out there and they're not going to be able to do it on their own. And so then you keep stepping in and intervening in these areas, they're not going to get to the point where they can do it on their own. You've got to let them go be adults. You got to let them fail. You got to let them get hungry. And I say that with all the love in my heart. Now, I'm not saying don't provide a meal and invite them over to come over and eat, because you know that their grocery budget is shrinking or lacking right now. But when someone gets hungry enough, they're going to figure out what they got to do to be able to put food in their stomach, to provide food for their children. And I'm talking very extreme here. Like, this is in all different kind of circumstances, not just like my house, my family. I'm just talking in general. You've got to let them fail. Remember back when you were in your early 20s. This is not a bad thing. This is not a mean thing. This is not your kids are less than in some way. Remember back in your early days. You struggled. You ate ramen, right? Cereal nights. You were living on WIC, food stamps, whatever you had to do to be able to survive. And that process of busting your way through it, of sharing one vehicle and having to go back and forth, do all that, that built a hunger in you to succeed. They need that. I needed that. I am the person I am today because I struggled through all of that and figured it out. It stirred a fire inside of me to do better and want better for my family. Failing is not bad. I have talked to so many different people. Giving your kids everything they need or want without them having to work for it, that's the bad parenting because they are becoming entitled. And then they feel like they can sit and do nothing because mommy and daddy are going to take care of it. That is not the generation that we want to raise. We want to raise the next generation. We want to prepare the next generation that they can go out in this world and they can succeed and that they are not takers, but they are givers. They are doers. So I hope that spoke to somebody out there. 7 different ways, but I'm going to cycle it back through 7 different ways to enjoy your blended family when your adult kids are living with you. Take it back to number one. If you do these things, this is going to help you enjoy it. Soak it all in so that this is the last time that they're living with you. Do these things to prepare them so that they launch out into this world and they are successful. That's biblical. That's wisdom. That is love. That is love. I'm going to pray for you guys right now that are in this situation. We did this a lot when we started out with the podcast, and we kind of like ventured off from that as time went on. But I do believe in the power of God and what He can do to move and strengthen your family. So I'm going to pray I'm going to pray for you guys now. Father, I just thank you that you have heard the words that come out of my mouth. You know the needs of every family that is listening right now. You know which of these 7 areas that they are struggling and lacking. And Lord, I thank you that you are giving them wisdom right now. Lord, I pray for the household, the head of the households, the husbands and the wives to be on the same page, to be able to come together and spend quality time together, Lord, in order to do what is best for their marriage and to do what is best for their children. Father, I thank you right now that you are bringing joy and laughter into their households. Lord, that they're able to focus on all the good things that are happening during this season. Lord, that they see you working and moving. Lord, I thank you for the hard conversations that they're going to have. I thank you for the opportunities for the hard conversations and that people can share their hearts and see things from the other perspective and soften their hearts towards each other and be kind and compassionate and gentle towards what the others are going through during this season, during their young adults, during trying to figure stuff out. Lord, I thank you that you are working, that you are providing a way, that you are stirring up this next generation. Lord, that when our kids get hungry, they seek you. You are showing them their next steps. Father, I thank you for the men in our lives that are rising to the occasion, that are providing for their families, that are doing what they need to do, what you created them to go out there and work the field so they can provide for their household the way that you designed them to. Lord, I thank you for the women in our families that are nurturing, that are caring for, that might even have to work multiple jobs and miss out on opportunities to be able to survive, that you are going to repay that time for them. Lord, that they make the decisions that they need to make based off spending time with you and hearing from you clearly in whatever season that they are in. Lord, I thank you. I thank you for every mom and dad that hear what I am saying today and they're realizing that they have done their job up to this point and they've got to let go and let their children live life, make mistakes, choose and make decisions and experience the consequences and learn and grow and make better decisions. And Lord, I thank you that throughout all of this, that you have angels on assignment sent to surround and protect our household, surround and protect our children from their thoughts, from their actions, from their choices. When the enemy is coming in and trying to destroy them, that we have angels on our side fighting for them, that this will not be the end of them, but it is just the beginning. And I pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Woo! That was a good one to come back with. Y'all let me know what other kind of episodes y'all want in the future. This one was long because I am going to try to keep them 30 minutes. That is the goal, which was a hard goal for me. 45 at the max, but there was a lot of catching up to do. I knew doing 7 of these was going to be a lot. I just wanted to do a brief overview. If you want us to dig deeper into any of these, if there's other topics that you want us to talk about, comment below. Let us know. We are here for you. Reach out if you have questions or need just some prayer and encouragement in any of these areas. We got you. We're on the different social media platforms, on pretty much on TikTok, we're enjoying your blended family. On Instagram, we're enjoying your blended family. On Facebook, I'm just on my personal account, Scarlett Tandy. I had to stop trying to do all the different groups and all the different everything. So just find me on my regular Scarlett Tandy. That's where all of my enjoying your blended family automatically post on there. And we're on YouTube. So if you're like, I like to watch instead of just listen, we're on there too. I love you guys. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy your blended family. Bye.